Even though in Europe station wagons are very popular, they just don't have the same cool factor in North America, especially when you compare them to SUVs, so they can be a pretty tough sell.
So Volvo takes the V70 wagon, raises the ride height a little bit, adds some rugged exterior cladding, and they call it a crossover. And suddenly, this wagon... this crossover becomes a little bit more appealing.
Now, the original XC70 sold very, very well, just behind the XC90 SUV. So for 2008, they've improved things a little bit, taking it to a different level. You'll notice I didn't say better level, because sometimes newer isn't entirely better, it's just newer. Take the styling of the new XC70. It has more pronounced accents on the front, new rear taillights, and sweeping sheet metal. But to be honest, I like the last model better. This one looks like it's been a little too overstyled. Over time, though, I have found that new cars do tend to grow on me.
The V70 is kind of like a dress shoe, and the XC70 is kind of like a cross trainer, or maybe more like these. I can see the appeal. I mean, you've got more ride height, they're comfortable, and you look good in them, just like the Volvo. The tailgate can be ordered with a power option. Now, I thought people who bought these were rugged. Obviously, not rugged enough to open the hatch themselves. All kidding aside, the cargo area is very large and would put most SUVs to shame. The rear seats fold in a 40-20-40 split and can be equipped with a two-stage integrated child booster seat. For anyone who has to put booster seats in and out of the back, this is a wonderful option.
Now, the XC70 and the station wagon version, the V70, are based on the same platform as the S80. So the interiors are almost identical, very upscale. This wagon, crossover, would definitely compete with more expensive vehicles like Mercedes and BMW. The fit and finish is excellent. It's very classy looking on the inside. The seats in all Volvo products are oh so comfortable. I'm sure they're patented in some way. They really are spectacular. A floating dash has been incorporated in most Volvo products. It looks good, it's easy to use, but the problem is they have this hidden area behind the back. To be honest with you, you forget things in there and it really is hard to get at. Now, this particular XC70 is equipped with the optional Bliss system, blind spot information system. There's a camera on each outside mirror, and it can detect if there's a vehicle or a bicycle or anything really in your blind spot. It's amazing technology, and when there is something in your blind spot, a light comes on here in the A-pillar. We did a review of the Bliss system earlier in the season on Driving Television. I urge you to go to our website to check it out. It's very informative. We mentioned the comfort of these seats. They also have a whiplash protection system in them. When you're sitting normally, the headrest is not very far away from your head, which helps in the event of a rear collision. But in addition to that, if there is an impact from the back, the headrest actually slides forward a little bit to reduce the amount of travel that your head has when it goes backwards to help to eliminate whiplash. Well, Volvo has switched things up under the hood. The previous generation used to have an inline 5-cylinder engine with a mild turbo attached to it. And if you wanted more power, you could get a higher output turbo. Well, now for 2008, they have an inline 6-cylinder engine with no turbo attached. It's a 3.2-liter engine. It has more power than the previous model at 235 horsepower. But what I miss is that predictable whoosh of surge of power you would get when the turbo started to kick in. I find with this car, off the line, it's a little bit sluggish. When you're on the highway and you're cruising along, it does an adequate job, but I find my foot is always firmly planted into the throttle, and in the long run, it probably won't be that great for gas mileage. The good news is that the XC70 will be offered with the same T6 or turbo 6-cylinder used in other Volvo products. This is the XC70 to get. The 3-liter turbo will produce 282 horsepower and almost 300 pound-feet of torque. Unfortunately, the turbo will only be available on the 2009 model. If it was me, I'd wait to get that version. This vehicle, as we mentioned, is based on the same platform as the Volvo S80, and the complaint I had of that car, I have of this car, is that the suspension is a little bit noisy over bumps, especially at slower speeds. At highway speeds, you really don't notice it that much. You know what, this XC70 really is what I would call a tall wagon. If it was me and I was going to spend the money, and I do like the Volvo products because they're very practical and they're well laid out, I would go for the regular V70 wagon with the sport package that they offer on that car. I think it's just a better looking vehicle. All the plastic cladding on this one and the higher setting for the suspension really is kind of lost on me. I'm more of a driving purist, so I put more emphasis on the drive than I do on the rugged looks.
Unlike the regular wagon, the XC70 is only available in all-wheel drive for better traction. This is definitely not going to be a choice vehicle for off-roading. It's more about driving in Canadian climates, and if you're looking for a vehicle that you can take to the cottage or cabin, the XC70 will do a great job. There's even a hill descent feature that allows the vehicle to just creep down steep hills. This XC70 has a couple of important convenience and safety features that we already featured on the Volvo S80, including the adaptive cruise control that will automatically brake the car when approaching a slower vehicle. The collision warning and auto brake system will warn the driver of an impending collision by flashing a warning on the windshield, an audible warning, and will even apply the brakes if a crash is imminent to help scrub off speed. Both of these features are optional, but they represent the latest in vehicle technology. The XC70 has a comfort mode or a sport mode, and I really preferred driving it in the comfort mode. It's got a very soft, comfortable suspension. And that being said, I don't really think of this vehicle as an SUV or even a crossover. It definitely rides more like a luxurious station wagon.
Now, some manufacturers have gotten out of making station wagons like the Honda Accord and the Toyota Camry, but the European manufacturers continue to make station wagons because they sell so well in Europe. And I'm glad to see Volvo has continued their tradition, and they make some of the best wagons on the road.
Now, the XC70 is a taller version, and it's got a much more rugged look. So, Zach, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I got to say it, I love station wagons. The reason I love station wagons, you get the ride and handling of a sedan, but you get the utility in the back of an SUV, and in many instances, like this XC70, the cargo area behind the back seats is bigger than most mid-size SUVs. Also, Volvos are supremely comfortable. Those seats really are some of the best in the business. This is a great touring car. It's fabulous on the highway, and as I mentioned, they have that long heritage of building station wagons, and it shows that they perfected it over the years. On the downside for me, I'm not a fan of the new inline six-cylinder, the 3.2 liter. I just find it doesn't have a lot of oomph out of the pocket. Getting it up and away from the light is a bit of work. When it's on the highway, it really turns into a nice car though. And going over uneven roads at lower speeds in the city, I find the suspension a little bit noisy. It's the same complaint I had of the S80. And the Bliss system. Now, it's interesting technology, but I just found those lights flickering in the corners of my eyes a little bit distracting. But I know how to set my mirrors properly so there are no blind spots because, you know, I'm that good.
Yeah, Zach, you keep telling yourself that. You know what, Zach, I disagree with you on that. I think that there are some great technological advancements on this car, such as the Bliss system, the adaptive cruise control, and the crash avoidance system. I like the fact that you've got the 3 different suspension settings, the advanced, the sport, and the comfort mode. I also really like the fact that that second row of seats, you've got the option to do the 40-20-40 split. It gives you a lot of options if you are going to be storing some cargo back there. And I really like the simple, easy-to-use, well-laid-out dash. Probably my only major dislike is I really am not too crazy about the styling, and I just really don't like station wagons.
Why do women hate station wagons? I don't understand this. Like, other than a station wagon, what else would you want as a cargo utility vehicle?
You know what, Zach? My dad always warned me about guys that like station wagons.
Well, what's wrong with us? I like them.
My point exactly.
For complete specs, go to our website at drivingtelevision.com.